Elaine Allen. Elaine was a retired substitute teacher. Even in her old age, she expressed a desire to pursue a graduate degree in biology and nutrition. Her plan was to travel the world. Janet B. Janet was housed with the VIP program in 2015. She had recently reconnected with family members after a brain cancer diagnosis. She had many local friends and was a lively, caring person. Richard Belmore. Richard stayed with MCCH for a short period of time before being admitted into the hospital for a lengthy period of time. He will be missed. Lottie Costin. Miss Costin was a very independent woman who was very prideful and independent.
Mikey Fiorina. Mikey took great pride in how he maintained his living space. He was very welcoming of new roommates and seemed to really enjoy assisting them with learning the neighborhood. Fanny Ruth Goodpaster. To know Ruthie was to love her. Ruthie had a huge heart and inspired everyone she met. She is greatly missed by her family and friends. Gregory Graff. This person was struggling with his sobriety, but he always greeted everyone with a smile. He was always positive and really wanted to change his living situation. MCCH staff truly enjoyed working with this client, even if it was for a brief period of time. Warren Jenkins. Warren had a knack for handyman duties and small automotive repair. He enjoyed a nice thermos of coffee while he did some window shopping in downtown Bethesda the year before he passed away. Warren never hesitated to share his knowledge and stories about old Bethesda area landmarks.
Paul King. Paul often bragged about being one of the first people to move into Cordell. He wanted everyone to know he moved in so early that he got to choose the corner unit because it was the biggest. He was loved by many. Paul had so many friends at Cordell. He was a proud father and grandfather. He will be missed by many. We're sure he's enjoying the afterlife in the coolest clothes he can find. Leonard Lawson. He was always quick with a smile and eager to offer help to anyone who asked for it. He liked good music, old movies, and being with people. He grew up in a time and place where people grew their own vegetables and canned their goods. Even though he didn't garden where he lived, he loved talking about how it was to grow up in that environment and how he wished more people did it today. Like everyone, he had good days and bad days. However, he always tried to have more good than bad. Andre Carlos Littlejohn. Andre was a former Marine who was housed with MCCH Operation Homecoming. Through housing, Andre stayed connected with his adult children and family, whom he spent most of his free time with. Andre enjoyed sharing stories of past adventures. He was a friendly face in the community, and he will be missed.
Michael Maticus. Michael was a quiet, easygoing guy who got along with everyone. He was someone who knew what he wanted and focused on those goals. His family loved him. Shay Pius Mawan, one of the friendliest and most selfless people you could meet. He will be remembered for always putting others before self His smile will be missed by all. Ronald Nelson. Ron was a fiercely independent individual. He knew what he wanted, and he didn't want things sugar-coated. In return, he was just as honest with you. Even though he hadn't seen his family in some time, he always spoke with a tone of pride and love whenever he mentioned his daughter and grandchildren. He will be missed.
Chuck Ogles. Chuck was formerly a tenant in Hope Housing, who moved on from permanent supportive housing by the creative endeavor of moving to a firehouse as a volunteer. He was a smart and caring person. He didn't like the idea of living off the government and wanted to do things on his own. Jose Quinteros. Jose spent his remaining days in and out of the hospital. Despite this, when at the shelter, he would walk with his walker and be adamant about being strong enough to be able to take care of himself. He was strong-willed and determined to keep moving. Alice Rafferty. Shortly after entering the Home First program, Alice was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer. However, she didn't let this stop her from living her life with a huge smile on her face whenever she was engaged by staff. She was loved by many, including her family, who played a huge role in working with her medical team and her housing case management team to ensure that she had the best quality of life in her final moments.
Thomas Reed. Thomas was very motivated about overcoming his addiction and always maintained employment. He was a very likable person and had many friends. He oftentimes did more for others than for himself. He wanted to make positive changes in his life to make a good impression on his daughter. He had aspirations of eventually starting his own business. Staff enjoyed working with Thomas while at Chase. We know he will be missed. Jay Rose. He was a hippie at heart and always preferred to wear either a bandana on his forehead or his Willie Nelson hat whenever he was out. He created cartoons on styrofoam cups and once displayed his artwork at the Ratner Museum in Bethesda. In life, he preferred to listen to good music, create art, and spend time with friends and family. Stephen Rosenfeld. Prior to becoming homeless, Stephen was a longtime resident of Montgomery County and a successful chef. He came to the Safe Havens program in November of 2017. While at the Safe Haven program, Stephen made friends with housemates and enjoyed cooking for the other residents until physical illness made it too difficult for him. Stephen was a positive person who was able to reconnect to family members before his death. He is missed by all who knew him.
Tyrone Smith. Tyrone passed away peacefully on November 13, 2017. Tyrone was a beloved member of the Seneca Heights Apartments community. Tyrone is survived by his daughter, 8 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Tyrone will be sadly missed by our community. Jeffrey Thomas. Jeffrey was a positive voice, given the burdens and challenges that he faced. Jeffrey would always greet neighbors with a smile. And how are you today? Jeffrey always woke up bright and early to take on a new day. Ian Mark Vogel, otherwise known as Mark. Mark had a gruff exterior, but a warm heart. Mark was extremely resourceful and a lover of hardware stores and transistor radios. Mark had a special bond with his siblings.
Arthur Walters. Arthur was a good guy who recognized that he had flaws like everyone else. He was easygoing and never wanted to be a burden on anyone. He liked his hard rock music and preferred to keep things as simple as possible. He will be missed. Amy Wilkinson. Amy was a delight to all who knew her in her years as a tenant in Hope Housing and through the shelter system. She remembered the little things and often sent her positive thoughts in letters and cards to her staff and housemates. She had a warm and generous spirit. Larry Young. Larry was a client who was homeless for most of his life. He was so happy to get an apartment and was housed for 5 years. Larry stayed in contact with John at Shepherd's Table for most of his life. We have one client for whom we don't know by name, but want to recognize as part of this event. Thank you.